Today we learn how to make a table in Excel. An Excel table isn't just columns and rows with data. It's a special data set that works dynamically as a single unit and has special commands and features to manage its contents. So this is a normal cell range, and this is an actual Excel table. Manually formatting a cell range to look like this one doesn't make it a table, but you can convert a regular cell range into a table in just seconds. Here's how. First, you select any cell within the dataset, go to the Insert tab, and from the Tables group, click the Table button. The Create Table dialog box shows up with all the data selected for you automatically. Excel is usually able to identify where your data starts and ends, or you can adjust the range as needed. If your first row will be the headers for your dataset, make sure that the My Table Has Headers box is checked. Then you click OK. And now it becomes a table. If you want to know an even easier way to do this, let's undo what we just did. Once we're inside the dataset like we are now, you can just press Ctrl-T on your keyboard, whether Windows or Mac. You get the same dialog box, and you click OK. And this changes the dataset into the same default style right away. Once you've created a table, a new contextual tab, the Design tab, becomes available on the ribbon whenever the table is selected, and this tab carries commands specific to tables. If you click outside of the table area, then the Design tab goes away. Tables behave differently from basic ranges, and they have special features. For one thing, they expand and contract dynamically as you add or remove rows and columns. So if we're in the last row here, and we tab, then our table expands. Another thing is that the column headings in Excel tables remain visible even while scrolling. And Excel tables have drop-down lists and interactive slicers that make it easy to sort and filter data. Another thing is that formulas created outside of a table, which reference table data, are automatically structured with table elements instead of cell references, so that the formulas behave dynamically even if the cell ranges of the table change. So here's an example. Let's do an auto sum of the gross sales of the team. So if we do Alt equals, we get the auto sum, and instead of using cell references, the formula refers to the table column gross sales. So now if we expand our table and we have 500, that increases our total. Another feature is that Excel has the ability to sum, count, average, or otherwise summarize table data without us entering the formula ourselves, just by the click of a mouse. We'll see how to do that later. Now you may have noticed that each Excel created table is given a default name, which can be viewed once you click on the Design tab and look in the left corner when the table is selected. The first table in a worksheet is given the default name Table 1, and you can rename any table just by overriding what's in the table name field, then pressing the Enter key. So this table is called Table 3, and we can call it Employee Sales. For table names, you can't have spaces, but you can have underscores or slashes or numbers. And table names aren't case sensitive, so uppercase sales and lowercase sales would be considered the same table name. So now we enter, and this becomes our new table name. Remember those summary features we talked about? Well, Excel has a built-in command to display the total at the end of a table. Just click inside the table, go to the Design tab, and click the Total Row checkbox inside the Table Style Options group. A total row is added to the end of the table, and Excel will choose one or more columns and display their sum, count, or some other type of numeric summary, depending on how it assesses the data type. Excel uses the subtotal function, which maps to one of 11 functions like sum, count, average, and so on. In this case, Excel chose function 109, which maps to the sum function. Here, Excel chose function 103, which maps to the count function. So what it did was to count how many orders there are in this table. You can add or change the formula Excel has chosen by clicking the drop-down arrow, selecting the function you want, and the calculation will be performed based on the visible cells in the table. So if you filter cells out, the value will change. If none of the subtotal functions summarizes the column the way you want, then you can choose any valid Excel function. So for instance, if you want to count how many orders came in from Australia, you could just use the COUNTIF function here, and this is our range, and the criteria should say Australia. And we have 2 orders from Australia here. You can sort and filter in the usual way with these drop-down arrows, but a special feature that's available with Excel tables is the interactive slicer, which allows you to filter data visually. To access the slicer, you'll want to click inside the table, go to the Design tab, and select Insert Slicer from the Tools command group. All the heading names are showing up on this dialog box, and from here, you can check the boxes that you might want to group your data by. So let's click Ship to Country, let's click Discount, and let's click Category. These slicers are now showing up as objects on our worksheet, and you can drag them to a location that makes them easier to work with. So let's place our slicers all the way here at the bottom. And now these slicer labels act as filter options for the dataset. For example, to view orders that are being shipped to Mexico to which any discount was applied, then we'd go to the Ship to Country slicer and click on Mexico. And this is what our table looks like now. If we click on another country, let's say United States, we need to uncheck 0 discount because we want to see only those to which discounts were applied, and we'd have to do a multi-select. So now we have Mexico and the United States showing up on our table. Any label which isn't applicable will be grayed out and not available for selection. So there are no industrial products that have been ordered from these 2 countries. To clear filters and redisplay all the values in a category, select the clear filter icon at the top right of each slicer. So this one and this one. And all our data shows up again. And if you want to remove the slicer objects from your worksheet, click on each slicer. And once the handlebars are displayed, just delete using your keyboard. Now you can change your table from the default style. Just select any cell within the table, then go to the Design tab and choose a new style from the Table Styles command group. You can either use the scroll bar or click here to expand and see all the available options. So we could restyle our table like this. Something to note is that you can't copy or move multiple worksheets if any of the sheets contains an Excel table. So if I wanted to select this sheet and this one and copy by moving it to the end, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd have to do them one at a time. Now here's our original table. And if for some reason you want to convert an Excel table to an ordinary range, just select any cell within the table, go to the Design tab. From the Tools command group, choose the Convert to Range command. And then a pop-up will ask, do you want to convert the table to a normal range? Click Yes, and it's done. The formatting looks almost the same, but the special table behavior is gone. So if we tab here, it doesn't expand the table, and any structured formulas will be converted to absolute cell references. If we Control T, we click OK, and it's a table again. So if you've never used Excel tables before, Now you know everything you need to get started. You'll probably discover more advantages along the way. Subscribe to this channel to get up to speed on our recommended Excel tips.
Ready to learn more about Microsoft Excel? Then check out the full course on GoSkills.com. Click the link in the description.